Hey, good morning, friends. Today, my friends, is Tuesday, September the 9th, 2025, and the time now is 7:50 a.m. So, friends, I want to talk about Spain, and I want to talk specifically about the fact that there is a rift or a disconnect or a quarrel or a tension between Spain and Israel. Of course, this tension is just politics as usual. It is geopolitics as usual. But we can also say that there is some form of morality behind it. But honestly, I think that it is not going to go anywhere. At the end of the day, Israel does hold a prominence in Western politics and in Western governments and countries. Now, friends, if you are new to this channel, The Echoing Voice, or if you are watching my videos for the first time, I want you to know that every international institution, every significant, prominent international institution does have at least one playlist on this channel. However, every country has at least two playlists. For example, one playlist is titled the country's name and the other domestic the country's name. And this is how it is set up. The country's name playlist does feature videos, talks, programs, or ideas that focus specifically on the country's geopolitical position, the country's interaction or relations with countries and institutions in its region, and also the country's interaction and relations with other countries and institutions around the world. In this case, we are talking about Spain. Therefore, the Spain playlist will feature videos, talks, programs, or ideas about Spain's interaction with countries around the world. And we are talking as of now, Spain's relations with Israel regarding the situation in the Middle East in Gaza. However, the country's name playlist will feature videos, talks, programs, or ideas about the country's domestic situation. Whether we are talking about youth and unemployment, medicine, economics, infrastructure and development, and so on and so on and so on. In this case, we are talking about Spain. Therefore, the domestic Spain playlist will feature videos, talks, programs, or ideas about the situation in Spain regarding economics, youth and unemployment, development, infrastructure, transportation, and so on, and so on, and so on. Now, friends, forgive me for deviating. However, in terms of the situation between Spain and Israel, on Monday, the Spanish Prime Minister announced that Spain is going to impose an embargo on Israel. Spain is actually going to ban or is banning ships that are leaving Spanish port and headed for Israel, or also banning ships and aircraft that are coming into Spain from Israel or relating to Israel. Spain is also said to be reducing or canceling orders for military equipment that it has been purchasing from Israel. Also, friends, Spain is supposed to be banning goods that are coming from Israel, the so-called Israeli territories that are occupied territories or considered to be occupied territories. Now, it is very interesting that both Spain and Israel are going at it. In fact, one Israeli minister even accused the Spanish prime minister of playing political game as a means to cover up the fact that he himself, the Spanish prime minister, is facing a corruption situation at home in Spain. So, friends, this is nothing but politics. But the fact that Spain is banning aircrafts and ships coming from Israel, or aircrafts and ships leaving Spain's port to go to Israel, it's a very interesting thing. I know in May, Spain actually did recognize Gaza, or the Palestinian state, if you will. However, friends, this is not going to go anywhere, as I've said earlier in my introduction, because Israel, I believe, does hold prominence in Western government and politics. However, friends, As much as Spain is trying to decouple from Israel, or supposedly trying to limit or if not cancel military equipment order from Israel, it is said, even by Spanish officials, that it is going to be difficult because Spain is very much tied to the hip with Israel. It is said that the Spanish tech industry is strongly related to Israel. So basically, Israeli firms are the ones that are servicing Spain's tech industry. So, as much as you have strong politics in Spain, and you have a situation in Spain where many Spanish officials and institutions or groups are supporting Gaza and the Palestinian, Spain cannot decouple itself easily from Israel, especially in terms of the technological realm or the military technology, because it is strongly tied to the hip with Israel. And this does begs the question, what is Spain doing as of now or going to be doing as a means, not so much to decouple from Israel as it wishes to do, but also to maintain some form of infrastructure, technological, and other forms of sovereignty? This also shed the light, my friends, to the point that China, at least to the greatest extent, is the only country or one of few countries that are independent completely from the West, other than just trading with the West or the rest of the world. China does maintain control of its spheres, of its spaces, whether we are talking about the political space, the technological space, the AI space, the biological or medical space, the agriculture space, the economic space, the infrastructure space. China just maintain everything, including the transportation or the shipment and so on. So, friends, this is very, very, very interesting. But in terms of the situation between Spain and Israel, it is very interesting, and I would like to see how this end. But I do not believe that the tension between Spain and Israel is going to be blown out of proportion, where there is a complete split between the country. Once again, friends, as I said earlier, Spain and Israel are tied to the hips, and Israel does hold a very strong prominence in Spanish and other Western governments and countries, politics, and so on. But in terms of Spain, perhaps we can say it's just politics or it is morality. Not only that, Spain is banning ships and aircrafts coming from Israel, okay, that are trading with Spain, bringing military and other form of trade goods from Israel, from the occupied territory, so-called. And that Spain is reducing or is going to be canceling military orders with Israel and Israeli firm. Spain is also have been supporting the Palestinian Authority, and that Spain has been giving aid to the United Nations agency that is serving Palestinian refugees. Perhaps this is morality, perhaps it is just politics as usual, who knows? But once again, as I said earlier and many times now, Israel does maintain prominence in Western governments and countries. So I don't think the split between Spain and Israel is going to go out of control. Now, friends, please tell me what you think, and I really want to know what you think. But friends, I am going to end here. I want to thank you for being a member of the Echoing Voice community, my friends, but most especially and most importantly, or most important, friends, I want to thank you a lot for watching the Echoing Voice. Peace, my friends. Peace.